What's up, everybody? This is Connor Williams for the Los Angeles Rams running back, and I'm tuned in with the Fantasy Football Counselor.
Hey, it's Trey Benson with the Arizona Cardinals, and you listen to Fantasy Football Counselor.
Good morning, guys. Happy Saturday. Excited to get another video out to you guys. Fantasy football is 100% back. I'm pumped. I got energy. Hope you guys do as well. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday morning so far. And I'm going to continue to deliver to you guys daily. Now, I hope you guys went back and watched the Kyron Williams interview and the Trey Benson. I got a couple big interviews as well coming this week. Tajay Spears, one of them, Rashid Shaheed. Guys, it's going to be really, really exciting. So if you're new to the channel, guys, just like the t-shirt says here, smash it, tap it, slap it. Hit the thumbs up. It'll put you light years ahead of the sheep, a.k.a. the consensus. The Consheeps is the only channel giving you guys the truth. Okay, guys? Today in this video, I want to talk about 5 players, 5 running backs in particular, to never, ever draft again. Now, most of these guys, some of these guys anyway, I've told you to avoid for years, right? And particularly this year for Fantasy Football 2024, you're going to want to avoid them, okay? So never ever draft these guys again. And what really sparked me to do this episode is it's so funny because I was going across a couple channels here. I just look up fantasy football content, see what the Consheeps are doing. And I came across this article where someone was saying, never draft the first guy we're going to talk about here again. And I'll tell you who it is. Let's get right to him. It's Austin Ekeler, okay? He said, never draft Austin Ekeler again. Now you're telling me this? This was a page that was heavily pushing Austin Ekeler last year. These guys are always a year or two behind the trend. They're never going to help you guys win your leagues. They are always going to help you lose your leagues. So now they're writing, oh, never draft Ekeler again? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I've been telling you this for years. He was a backup to Melvin Gordon. So the first guy here to never draft is Austin Ekeler. We never drafted him in the first place. We didn't draft him last year. We didn't draft him the year before. I don't care how well he did. He was a product of the offense, and he sucked. The point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that these guys are not out here to help you, okay? They are here to sabotage your team because they want to play it safe and ride the trend while it's hot. All they do is trend ride and make sure that they suggest players that are hot at that current moment so they're not held accountable. They will not help you win your leagues. Austin Ekeler, guys, if you look at it, and you should only be drafting alphas, guys that are prime for volume, guys that are elite talent. Ekeler was a backup for years. When I say years, I mean like hundreds of years, okay? Behind Melvin Gordon, he was the backup. He couldn't even surpass Melvin Gordon on a depth chart. And you're telling me he's a starter? No, he's not. He hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards his entire career. So now, all of a sudden, everyone's jumping on this tread like, don't draft Austin Ekeler. Yeah, I know. We knew. If you follow this channel, you know, okay? So it's just funny how they are so behind on everything, right? Like last year, they didn't know who Laporta was. He was ranked 21st amongst tight ends. Now everybody's riding the Laporta train. Okay? So if you guys want to be light years ahead of the sheep, aka the Consheepsis, you guys have to get the 16-round draft solution. It'll literally put you light years ahead of everybody else. Guys, I'm super passionate about this. This is really my staple course because I literally give you all the optimal players drafted each round. Once you create an account, once you sign up for 16 rounds, I've linked it below, you get a login, you get all my mock drafts, full mock drafts. I update this till the season starts. You get all the optimal players, everything laid out on a silver platter with all the sleepers, everything. So you guys are light years ahead of the sheep. Because sometimes I remember doing drafts before I was a fantasy analyst. I remember doing a lot of drafts and people got confused after round 7. They're like, okay, who do I draft? And they were like just drafting names because they knew that name. You know, they're like, oh, I just got to draft that guy because he's a familiar name. Even though he's like buried on the depth chart or, you know, there's a younger guy emerging. No, you got to know who the young guys are. You got to know who's emerging. You got to know who's on top of the depth chart. So 16 rounds is the solution. Guys, make sure you guys do grab it below. I've linked it below, okay? It'll literally put you light years ahead of everybody else. And also, I'm doing something that's never been done. I got a fantasy sports summit. It's a virtual conference in the comfort of your home. It's going to be all online. You get a chance to ask these players questions. It's a live podcast, guys. Everything, guys, virtually. You're entered for a PS5 giveaway just by simply getting a ticket. I've linked that below. The best deal is if you get the combo, 16 rounds and the summit. Linked it below. August 21st, 7:30, all online from the comfort of your home. Go do that right now. Register for that as well, okay? So, again, Austin Ekeler is the first one. I'm completely out on him. Do not draft, okay? Sucks. Now he's going on the Commanders. Like, are you kidding me? He's going to get some play, but not not as much as that would make him a viable RB1 or RB2, okay? I'm just not sold on this guy, never was. I don't care how he does. You guys should be aiming for the alphas. Top of the depth chart, workhorse beasts, guys that are trending upwards, not guys that are trending downwards. No matter how well Ekeler does, even if it finishes top 10, I will have no regrets for drafting him, okay? Number 2 here, avoid at all costs, do not draft, is James Cook. Now, this guy's coming off round 3 to 4, which is absolutely ludicrous. Let me tell you why. First of all, he's not an outstanding running back. Never was, okay? So I want to get this out of the way. James Cook is not that good. Not to mention, he only had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. In comes the beast that is Ray Davis. They draft Ray Davis and they sign Frank Gore Jr., who are both actually better than James Cook. Okay, so now you've got workhorse guys. Then you've got Josh Allen, who had like 15 rushing touchdowns near the goal line. I factor in a regression there on his rushing touchdown. That's why they brought in Ray Davis to kind of take that pressure off Josh Allen. But you got to understand here, guys, James Cook is way overdrafted, guys. He is way too expensive in drafts. Again, even without Ray Davis there, this guy was held to 2 rushing touchdowns. When you are drafting a running back, particularly in the early rounds, and I see early, like first 6 rounds, you want a workhorse running back that is going to be primed for a ton of volume, not to get a guy who's in a major committee where his quarterback is pretty much the goal line workhorse, okay? So James Cook, don't ever draft him again. Now, you shouldn't have drafted him in the first place, but again, very inflated, very copy and paste on last year. Nobody talking about the obvious that is Ray Davis there and Frank Gore Jr. I mean, we should be talking about this. Like, nobody's talking about it. They're like, just draft James Cook round 4. I think that's going to be a major, major mistake, okay? The next guy here is Tony Pollard. Never draft again. I told you to avoid him last year, okay? Everybody and their mother was telling you Tony Pollard round 1. And what did I say, guys? I said avoid Tony Pollard. Why? Because he was a backup for years. Whenever there's a backup, a guy that has never wowed us for years, and they make him the starter, it's not a good situation. And that's happening a lot in the NFL this year, including Alexander Madison last year. Remember, he was a backup for years. He sucked. I told you he sucked. And they made him a starter, and he had like 0 touchdowns last year, 3.5 or 9 yards per carry. It's like they suck. There's a reason they were a backup. You can't make them a starter. And it's happening. You got Zach Moss starting this year. You got all these guys where you're like, okay, is he really going to do well? Like, I don't believe that he is going to be a true starter. Like, it's just, I'm not sold on it. So I'd rather go maybe a Chase Brown if I had to choose someone in that backfield. Even though Chase Brown didn't do anything last year, at least I got some upside and some hope that something's going to happen. You see the thought process here, okay? So when I look at a guy like Tony Pollard, it's like, why would I draft him? He was a failed backup. He was a failed starter last year, and they got Tajay Spears there. Tajay Spears is the alpha, who's coming on the show, by the way, this week. It's like, turn on that bell. You don't want to miss these interviews, guys. Turn on the bell. Like, honestly, it's like, why would I go with a guy like Tony? Why would I even waste my time drafting him? And the crazy thing is, it's like these sheep are trying to save face, so they've got him ranked ahead of Tajay Spears. Tajay had 100 attempts last year with 280 attempts freed up right now. And he still managed to get 100 attempts with Derrick Henry there. I mean, Derrick Henry's the beast. Nobody gets attempts with Derrick Henry's around. Now you bring in a washed-up Pollard who's a failed backup. Tony Pollard's not getting anywhere near 280 attempts. So I would factor in that Tajay Spears is going to see at least 220 to 250 attempts, taking at least 150 of the 280 that were going to Derrick Henry last year. So now you've got yourself a top 10 running back in Tajay, and Pollard's just not going to do it, man. The hot hand will ride, and Tajay's the better out of those guys. He's hungrier, he's better, he's more dynamic. Tajay's the man. So do not draft Tony Pollard. That's the next guy. Okay, so we talked about Ekeler, James Cook, Tony Pollard. Never draft him again. And if you listen to this channel, you never drafted them to begin with, okay, guys? Now, the last 2 are very, very important. You gotta listen. But before I do, guys, go enhance your game watching experience. I've teamed up with the best betting site on the planet, mybookie.ag. Go create an account so you guys are set for the season. Football's back. You can start going in there, placing your bets on the spreads. You get in, you dive in. And here's the cool thing. Mybookie.ag, go to the site. If you use the code FFC, you get perks. Yes, up to $1,000 in signing bonuses. This is huge. And welcome bonus, $1,000 in welcome bonus with mybookie.ag. There's a barcode. I'll leave it right here. Go create an account, guys. This is the only site I use. And there's a big UFC event tonight. We've got Bilal versus Edwards. Leon Edwards is going to be a big fight. So, guys, if you guys want to enhance your game watching experience, your fight watching experience, or anything for that matter, go create an account, mybookie.ag, use code FFC. Go create an account, get set up, guys. And on this show, I'm going to be doing my locks of the week every Saturday with my DFS show. So you guys are going to get a ton of content. And also my Patreon group, I'll be talking as well. If you have any questions about, the spreads and stuff like that, hit me up in the Patreon group. If you haven't joined the front lines, do that right now. I'm also offering direct coaching, by the way, as well. If you guys haven't booked your call, they are booking up fast. Direct coaching, guys. Your fantasy draft to go over your exact dynasty league, redraft league, whatever you want. I'll make sure you have an optimal roster as well via direct coaching. You can book it at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com, okay? Go book direct coaching as well. But make sure you create that MyBookie account right now, mybookie.ag, code FFC, go create an account, okay? Last two guys. Let's rip through it here. The first one is Aaron Jones, okay? Aaron Jones has no business being a starter on any team at this point in his career. Didn't finish last year where he played like 10, 11 games. The guy sucks. Like, he was never that good. He was okay, maybe. I think 2019 he had his good year. But guys, talk about years to wow us. We're not wowed. He's just not that good. And here you make him a starter. And I tell you exactly why the Vikings did it. Because they paid Jefferson that mega contract and they didn't want to invest in another running back. It's a disaster there. I actually like Ty Chandler more than I like Aaron Jones here. There's an opportunity for Chandler to do something. But again, years to wow us. We're not wowed with Aaron Jones. I don't trust him, okay? Oh, we see a lawnmower. I think it's the airplane overhead now. See, these are the outdoor elements that we have to contend with when we're out here. We got the sun, the heat, and now we've got an airplane overhead. So hopefully it's not too distracting. But it gives you more of a atmospheric vibe here when we're outside. Hopefully you guys don't hear too much of that. But it's well overhead. It's just flying over here. So they're like, man, fly out of here. Fly out of that Aaron Jones mindset. That's the message here, man. Old, past his prime, and no business being on, the Vikings as a starter. This is ludicrous, okay? That's why I think Ty Chandler has an opportunity, but it's a disaster. I mean, there's so many, like I said, running back situations where, like, what are you guys doing? This is not the long-term solution, okay? And even like a guy like Mixon who's washed up, he's in a great environment, but he's already dealing with a hamstring injury. Like Joe Mixon, I'm not drafting him either, although he is, like I said, in a good situation. But, I think they got Dameon Pierce, who was a big letdown. He was one of my letdowns last year. I get a lot right. He was one of the guys that got wrong. How do you lose your job to Singletary? Speaking of which, Singletary, how is he starting on an offense, right? It's like a disaster with some of these running back situations. That's why you want to load up on those running backs relatively early and try to avoid some of these guys that have years to wow, we're not wild or sucked, or bona fide backups, try to be starters. It's disaster. Singletaries of the world, the DeAndre Swifts of the world, I stay away from them, okay? That gave you a couple bonuses there as well. So Aaron Jones, I'm out. The last guy here, again, it's always about being ahead of the curve here, and I'm going to tell you, and I've talked about him in all my videos, I'm going to end it off. You guys know who it is. It's Christian McCaffrey. Never, ever draft him again. And if he does have one good year, it's probably this year, but I really, really doubt it. And it's so funny because as soon as he breaks his leg and he gets hurt, everybody will be off him next year. And it's that stupid trend of like not listening. Last year, I told you to avoid Ekeler. Last year, I told you to avoid Pollard. Last year, I told you to avoid Dalvin Cook coming off round 5. I told you to avoid J.K. Dobbins coming off round 4. I told you to avoid Mike Williams coming off round 5. I told you to avoid T. Higgins round 2. Occasionally, sometimes I'll miss. And I missed on CMC last year, and I'm okay with that. Okay, because I had Byjan, Brees, and Jahmyr Gibbs, which, again, in a keeper league, if you're in a keeper league and you drafted those guys, listen to me, you're going to crush it this year. So I always think ahead, sometimes a little too ahead for myself. Like, for example, Christian McCaffrey, Super Bowl hangover, just got married, just got paid big time, he's making $19 million a year. What incentive does he have to do to break his back for this team? They got Mason there, they've got Isaac Orlando there, they've got Deebo Samuel as well, they got George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, they got a lot of options there. And I'm telling you, man, they're not going to use CMC as much as they did last year. You guys are going to be pleasantly disappointed, and I can't wait till he busts because I'm going to tell everybody that I was right about CMC. And if you say, well, Joe, you're wrong about him 2 years in a row, the 2 years before that, guys, he only played 10 games in those 2 seasons, 2020, 2021. I saved a lot of leagues with that, with fading CMC those years. So I'm okay not drafting CMC. I think he's way overpriced. 28, 29 years old. He's old, right? So he's not in his young years anymore. He's still viable. He still could get some volume, but to have him first overall is absolutely ludicrous. Never, ever draft this guy again. Just move on. Move on from him, because that over-the-cliff moment is going to happen, and it is going to be this year. I'm not going to say could. It's going to be this year. You don't want to be on the train when it falls off the cliff. You just don't want to be there. So avoid CMC. End of the line. Never, ever draft him again. Believe me, everything is pointing to a regression year. He's not trending upwards. That I can guarantee you, okay? So if you're new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it. Go grab 16 rounds. Just a couple homework assignments that are going to benefit you in all ways. Grab 16 rounds. Book your direct coaching call. Of course, grab a ticket to the summit. And finally, guys, go to mybookie.ag. Use code FFC. Create an account there, guys, and you're all set up to $1,000 in welcome bonuses, all right? Smash it, tap it, slap it. Have yourself an outstanding weekend. Go enjoy the sunshine. Get outside now. Fantasy football is back. And stay glued to this channel. We got some big interviews coming next week, so turn on that bell. Hope you guys jotted this all down. There's a lot of, call to actions here, but they're all going to benefit you and make you into the best fantasy player possible and give you the ultimate fantasy football experience. I'll see you guys next video. Have a great weekend.